happened this morning, and I'm feeling good. And I got a lot of things on my plate, but I'm always excited to get up and start the day. What's up, Loke Doc and Lolita and Isaiah and Tina Jackson? Tina Jackson, I love you, Tina Jackson. I see you all the time. Hanifa, what's going on? Nicole Butler, my friends at Black Knowledge. I love Black Knowledge. I'm telling you, Black Knowledge is that's Black survival. If you are Black and you're not seeking knowledge, if you're seeking entertainment instead of knowledge, then you will perish. You will perish along with with all the coonery that's going to get put in a mass grave. You know, the coons get buried in mass graves, so we got to fight for our survival. K. Sammy, what's going on? Jeffrey Price and Toriano, I want to be a contributor. Shoot an email to manager@boycewatkins.com. It's manager@boycewatkins.com. And we actually have openings for, different contributors. If you have something that you can say that's interesting and you do well on camera, then, we're always interested in bringing people to Intellectual Chocolate. I did not set up the YouTube platforms and all that. I mean, I think we just passed 300,000 subscribers. And I didn't set these platforms up, just for one or two people. I really set them up for a lot of people. And, and so if you have a talent and you want to share it with the world, I know that the ladies over at Fly New Being Queen also are looking for Black women that can give a narrative that is outside of what you're hearing on mainstream media. There's only a certain type of Black woman that tends to get invited onto CBS, ABC, NBC, and all the other crap. And so Fly New Being Queen tends to focus on women who don't fit that stereotype. They're not just Black feminists, even though they could be. They're not just sort of these integrated people, even though they could be. It's sort of like all these Black women that you and I know, that we respect, that we all know, have something very powerful and important to say to the community, to the world. And so Jeffrey Price says, I love your work. Thank you, Aubrey. Hey, how you doing, Aubrey? Rashonda says, good morning. Good morning to you. Toriano says, that means a lot to me. Thank you. Well, you mean a lot to me, man. I appreciate you very much. I think this man, I can't tell. It looks like that's a dude in there. But I want to say thank you. You mean as much to me as I mean to you, and I really mean that. Without support, you can't do this stuff. You can't do any of this without people that believe in you and trust you and support and engage. So I want to say thank you. So if me saying your name brightens your day, brother, then I'll brighten your day every chance I get. If I see any of y'all in public, I'm gonna give you a hug, and I'm gonna mean it. When I hug you, it's for my own security, in the sense that I feel safe with my people. I feel good, because as a Black man, a big chunk of my life, I felt rejected as a Black man. I felt like there was no place in the world for me as a Black man. And, it was tough. I felt alone, like a lot of us feel. I felt like I didn't fit. And, and it was tough, and it's like, when I figured out the importance of getting around other Black people and doing my thing with my people, something changed. It got to the point where the things I used to get in trouble for were the things that I now get rewarded for. Being outspoken used to get me in a lot of trouble. In fact, when I was little, my mother used to say, boy, your mouth will either make you great or it's going to get you killed. I'm curious to see which one. She used to say that. And I've always had a big mouth. I've always had something I wanted to say. I've had things that I felt the world needed to hear. I've had things that I didn't think were right about the way the world operated. Things would just seem not like unfair. I'd be like, well, wait a minute. What you mean I got to work twice as hard to get half as much? And I don't even get the half that you promised me. I was like, man, to hell with this shit. This is stupid. And so what happens is, when you are outspoken and you're Black, you have people that actually are your friends, people who actually care about you, who simultaneously will be the first ones to tell you that you need to be quiet and kind of slow down and stop making white people uncomfortable. And what happens is you end up feeling stupid. You end up feeling awkward and weird, like you're doing these weird animal tricks in order to avoid being labeled as the angry Black woman or the angry Black man. And I think that any Black person who isn't angry is probably brain dead. Any Black person who isn't angry, after all the stuff that we've gone through, everything that people have done to us, any Black person who's not angry, something wrong with you. Something wrong with you. You either are angry, you either should be angry, but after you get angry, you should engage in action. Don't keep that energy inside, because it just turns into stress and frustration and it kills you. You want to let it out and go and kick the world in the butt. So do me a favor, before we get started, make sure you hit the like button, share button, subscribe button. If you are on YouTube, hit the thumbs up button. If you're on Facebook, please hit one of those buttons, subscribe, share, and lots of hearts and all that other shit that makes people come to the stream, that brings people in. So let the world know you love this. Be involved in the discussion. This is a two-way conversation, not one way. So keep that in mind. Thank you, Brad. Louder for the Black people in the back. Right on. Anyway, as I was running this morning, and I was getting ready for this trip I'm about to take to China in a couple of days. Me and the Queen are going to fly over to Shanghai and Beijing for a little bit. I was thinking about, just kind of what I've been seeing in the world. And I was thinking about what I call Becky-itis. Becky-itis is a disease that I've just come up with. I just made that shit up, and but y'all know what I'm talking about when I say Becky-itis. Y'all probably have some idea of what I'm talking about. It's these brothers, they get in high profile positions that, they just fall in love with Becky. They love Becky at a level they can never love a Black woman. And it's more than just a coincidence, right? It's more than just like, oh, I was looking across the rainbow for love and I just happened to, find my milk of magnesia and she became the love of my life. Like it's more than that. It's not just like a coincidental kind of thing. It's something that kind of happens on a systematic basis enough that you know that there's an underlying factor. It's like when we used to do analysis in my doctoral program, you had some statistical variations and some data that gave you results that were, just coincidence. That's what they call epsilon, just the error, right? Just extra, right? But then you had stuff where you like, okay, wait, hold on. There's something to this. There's something that is pervasive and there's an underlying force. Like if you're a science geek like me, you might know about this, like dark matter. The scientists don't understand dark matter in the universe. They said literally 98%, I think, of the universe, of the mass in the universe, the energy in the universe cannot be detected. It's not detectable, but they see it. They see the effects of it. They see the force of it. So they know it's there. They just can't find it. So the same thing is true with Becky-itis. We know, we see it too common. It's too pervasive. It happens too much. We see too many of the effects that we know that there's something there, right? It's not like, oh yeah, I just, I could have easily married Shaquanda from the hood, with the big booty and the dark skin, but I just happened to end up with, dating, I don't know, Angelina Jolie or that ugly white woman who's in the Iron Man movies. You know what I'm talking about? Who plays Pepper Potts? I forgot her name. Not Jennifer Aniston. That's another ugly white woman. I'm talking about that one lady. I can't remember her name. Gwyneth Paltrow. That's it. Gwyneth Paltrow, right? Like Gwyneth Paltrow has always been an enigma to me because she's so plain looking. She's so mediocre. And I just thought that to be in big movies and to be a big time actor or actress, there had to be something unique about your look. Like there's a million women prettier than Gwyneth Paltrow, but she's Iron Man's girlfriend, right? So in a way, I think that sometimes we look at, the guys that have the Becky-itis, you probably know a couple of them, and you'll see the really handsome Black man who will be with the incredibly mediocre looking woman who's not Black. You know what I'm talking about? And you just kind of think like, I wonder what's really happening here. You're a handsome guy. You have a lot of money. You're big and you're a big, strong athlete. A million Black girls will want to be with you. Gorgeous Black women. You can go to the strip club and take home any girl you want. You can go to the church, take home any woman that you want. They're all the same. They're all the same kind of person. Just strippers, just kind of are a little more public with their stuff. But they all, they all love their Black men, and they all have these, things that are very attractive. But instead, you choose Becky, right? Instead, you want to date Gwyneth Paltrow. When you could have got with Nia Long or Sanaa Lathan, right? So I think there's something to that. And I think it's kind of strange. And I think that if I were a Black woman, I'd probably be a little offended by it. And I was thinking about Becky-itis, particularly in the case, well, what actually started my thinking was I was thinking about Van Jones and his divorce, right? And I was looking at Van Jones and I said, and literally, I kid you not, I remember when I heard Van Jones got a divorce, I said, okay, he's a Black man. He's in mainstream media. They love him, like white liberals love him. I said, I bet you he's married to a white woman, right? So I looked up Van Jones's wife. And without even knowing if his wife was white, I was literally guessing, and this is what I saw. And so if you're on drboystv.com, you can actually see the image. If you're not, And then you can just kind of imagine an average looking white woman. She's not even Gwyneth Paltrow level. She's just kind of average. Looks old for her age. I mean, she looks like she's about 55. She's probably 35 or something, because black don't crack, but white be cracking like the minute you come out of the womb. But it's fine, right? It's fine. It's his love. It's his wife. It's his thing. It's his choice. But I find it fascinating that I knew that he was married to a white woman. Like, I would have been shocked. I would have been shocked to see him with a black wife. And I was like, why would I have been shocked to see a black man with a black woman? And then I thought about it, and I noticed that a lot of the black guys that you see that are in Hollywood, that are on TV, that are doing big things, have the little white woman next to them. What's that other guy? Michael B. Jordan, biggest sex symbol that there is. My God, women were like, having orgasms inside the movie theater when they were watching Black Panther. But yet that doesn't matter to him. Like he loves Becky. And I don't know what it is. I can't explain it. And I'm not here to diss it. I'm not here to talk. I'm here to observe. I'm just stating what I observe. I'm not even really, I still have to process it enough to have a pure opinion on it, because I don't feel like I have the right to talk about whether it's right or wrong. But it's a thing, right? It's a thing. It's linked to white supremacy. It's linked to, various aspects of cultural indoctrination. It's linked to your career status. I don't think it's a coincidence that many of the black people who do really well in media tend to be linked up with a white person. I saw another lady who became a black lady who became the head of, it was like Netflix or Disney or one of the major networks, ABC. I think it was ABC. And she was the one who got rid of the Roseanne show. And I looked up her husband. I could have sworn her husband was also white, right? And I don't think that's a coincidence. Let me see here. I think she was the head of ABC. Let me see if I can find her face. Okay, ABC president. Her name is Dungy. Her first name is, let me see what her first name is. Channing Dungey. Now, I don't even know. I can't remember, but let's look it up. Who's Channing Dungey's husband? Bingo. Let me show you. I'm gonna pull up her picture, or pull up the picture. So she's got Becky-itis, except she's not dating Becky, she's dating Chad, right? And so that's not a coincidence, right? That is not a coincidence. It's not a coincidence. I mean, if you marry into the family, you're going to get the benefits of being part of that family. And so I think that there's something, I know that there's something very systematic about this idea that most of the black people who tend to do really well, especially in Hollywood or on CNN or whatever, a lot of them, are linked up to white folks. I just saw a promotion for a new Tiffany Haddish movie where, I think her husband in the movie is white. I can't remember what it was called. It was all about politics. It was about all the division that's happening with Democrat, Republican, and all that stuff. And I saw where it looked like her love interest across the table was a white guy. And so I think that it links to, I would imagine, one, I think whites maybe feel that you're more relatable if you're with one of them, if you're procreating with one of them. I think that you're seen as safer if you're kind of in that space. I also just kind of noticed that when I got around more of the so-called successful black people, I started noticing pressure that I would feel from other people to be a little whiter, like to sort of get, just like that I was being too black, that being too black was a bad thing, right? So I wouldn't even say anything about, race or whatever, because I would say, God, I don't even know if these people are going to even understand what I'm saying, because in their minds, they believe that being closer to whiteness is the same as being closer to success. That if you want so-called success, meaning money and status in this society, you have to get down with white folks. And so anyway, so it is what it is, right? Becky-itis, blah, blah, blah. People do it, whatever. Now, here's the problem though, right? Here's the problem. Becky-itis is hazardous to your health if you're a black man. Becky-itis is hazardous to your health. Why is it hazardous to your health? Well, because there's this thing called the Me Too movement. And there's a case in Wisconsin, University of Wisconsin. I mentioned it before. I'm going to keep mentioning it because I want you to tell everybody about this, because this is a big deal. A brother named Quintez Cephas, who is on the football team. He was a football star. He was the leading wide receiver for the University of Wisconsin Badgers, their number one wide receiver. Well, Quintez, two white girls came up and they wanted to have a threesome with him. And so they all got high and drunk and did a threesome, right? I guess that's what people think college students are supposed to do. I mean, maybe I'm the weirdo because I'll be like, well, you can catch STDs that way. You can get raped that way. You can end up having unwanted pregnancies that way. But, whatever. I'm the nerd. I'm the wet blanket of the party. So I just learned how to shut my mouth. But anyway, so they go in and they get high and drunk and they have a threesome. Well, the next day, the two white women were saying that he raped them both. That literally he's being charged with raping two of the women. And I got a call about this case from one of Jesse Jackson's people. And I said, he raped both of them? Like, what? And they were like, no, he didn't rape anybody. And I said, okay, well, what's the evidence? Because again, I'm not going to just stand by somebody just because they're black. I don't support rape, right? So none of us should. So I asked questions like, so what's the evidence to say that he did not do this? And they claimed that because they were high and drunk, that, even though the sex seemed to be consensual, it was technically rape. And I said, okay, so what else you got? Tell me what else was going on. They said they had surveillance video after the alleged incident where they were walking down the steps. They looked perfectly sober. They weren't wobbling and falling down the steps. They were able to walk down the steps under their own power. 2, one of the girls is talking to the guy after the alleged rape took place, and they're just sitting there chilling and kicking it like nothing's wrong. 3, one of the girls sends him a text message and asks him to find a vape pen that she left in his apartment. And she sends him an emoji with kisses and smiley faces and shit, right? You don't do that. I mean, no normal person sends their rapist a text message saying, I can't wait to see you again, and puts kisses and smiley faces in the text message. So I said, okay, well, you mean they're still pressing charges? And they say, yeah, they're going on with this trial. He's off the football team. The University of Wisconsin is not supporting him, from what I understand. And he's on trial to possibly go to prison for the next 40 years in Wisconsin, one of the most racist states in America. And so if that kind of case doesn't scare the living shit out of anybody who is a black man or has a black son, a black father, a black brother, a black husband, a black anything, a black cousin, I don't know what does. I don't know what should. You are the new Jews. You are the new Jews. They are persecuting you. If they're trying to send this young man to prison with no evidence other than, Becky's tears and Becky's story, and there's all this evidence to the contrary to say that he did not do this. I mean, what hope is there for your son if he ever gets caught up in this situation? I mean, this guy Quintez Cephas, he's getting national media attention. He's a college football player. He could be in the NFL. So people are going to jump out and support him. He's got people that are going to have his back. I'm talking about his case right now because Jesse Jackson's people brought it to me and it was in ESPN. Your son, if he goes to campus and gets high and drunk after 2 white girls invite him for a threesome, he ain't going to have all that support. People won't know what's going on with him. He won't be able to fight back. So what I kind of want you to understand is that Becky-itis really can be hazardous to your health. I compare it to like a woman dating Mike Tyson. Back in the day, remember Mike Tyson was like the young fighter that could kick everybody's ass and all the women loved him because he was sexy, because he had money and he had this like muscle-bound body and all that. I compare it to dating Mike Tyson because everybody know Mike can be a wonderful, loving guy, good dude, but we also know Mike is crazy. We also know that when Mike, got high or when Mike got upset or whatever, Mike would do crazy stuff. And so if you are a little thin, little tiny woman and you're in an apartment with Mike Tyson and he gets mad at you, you might die that day. You might die that day, right? He's going to love you. He might love you for 3,000 days in a row and then kill you on day 3,001, because that's just kind of how Mike Tyson had operated, especially when he was young, right? So Becky, I think dating Becky is the same way. You're entering into a relationship where there is a huge, what they call dimorphism, meaning a huge imbalance in the level of power between the two parties in the relationship. She has all the power in the world. You as a black man have very little power. If she decides to go and accuse you of anything, they're going to believe her just because she's a white woman. You go and accuse her of something, they're not going to believe you. Even if you provide evidence, they're just not going to believe you. They're going to laugh off whatever you claim happened to you. They're not going to believe you. But she accuses you of something, you'll be in handcuffs by the end of the day. They'll come get you on your job and arrest you and put you in cuffs in front of your boss. Like, they will take you out of school. If you are in college, they will take you out of school, and the school will expel you before they even investigate to find out what happened, right? So what I'm just trying to say is that Becky-itis, I guess people can date whoever they want. I'm not trying to say that it's, that's my right to tell somebody they can't date somebody outside the race. Sometimes love comes in the form of a white woman. God bless you if that's your life. Fine, okay, whatever. But just understand that you're putting your life on the line, and you better ask yourself, is this woman worth my life? Is she worth me going to prison for 50 years and getting raped 10,000 times by big old buff dudes who don't care nothing about, about being nice to or being compassionate toward anybody? Like, because there ain't no rape counseling in prison last time I checked. There is no Me Too movement in the penitentiary. There is no, and this is the place where most of the sexual assaults happen, in prison. So there ain't no police protection in prison. There ain't no way to report the crime to the cops. And it doesn't happen just once. It's not like, the Bill Cosby victims where, you got some woman who's already addicted to drugs, right? A lot of these women, in the Cosby case, I saw mug shots of these women, some of them, about 7, a lot of them. It wasn't just 1 or 2. There were several of them who literally had mug shots where they were drug addicts, and they come back 40 years later and say that this thing happened one time to me in 1972, and people are acting like it's a big deal. Prison ain't like that. In prison, you could tell anybody and everybody. You calling your mama, crying on the phone with your mama, telling her about the guy that keeps on raping you. Your mama's calling the prison. Your mama's calling a lawyer who's calling the prison. You're telling the guards about what happened, and they don't give a shit. They do not care. Nobody cares about the suffering of a black man. Nobody does. So what I'm just trying to say in terms of being just 100% real with you is that, I don't really think it's safe for black men out here in general. In fact, I think that the fear that you have of your black son interacting with the cops, take that fear and multiply it by 10, and that should be the fear you have of your son interacting with Becky. Because here's the other thing too, a lot of you got stupid sons. A lot of y'all got sons who think with their penises. A lot of y'all got sons and brothers and cousins and whatever, some even husbands, some of y'all, that some of the dudes in here, y'all know what I'm talking about. The sex drive for a man is very strong. Men are easily fooled by sex. They're easily fooled by that. That's why, there's a million stories about guys meeting a pretty girl and getting set up to get robbed or to get killed. I knew of a story of a young lady whose boyfriend was a gangster, and basically the boyfriend would pick out whatever rival gangster he wanted to kill, and he would tell the girl, like, go lure him in, like, go act like you want to have sex with him, get him back to the apartment, just leave the door unlocked, and my boys are going to come in there when he's butt naked and they're going to murder him. And now a lot of guys have been killed like that. So men, make themselves vulnerable when it comes to sloppy sexual choices. That's one thing that makes us vulnerable. And the thing about this environment that's really scary is that you don't even have to make a bad decision to have bad things happen to you. It's almost like when people would get upset about, oh, well, you can't tell her that, that because she wore that skirt or because she was in his hotel room that she deserved to get raped, which is true. You can't say that. You can't say, well, because, you were just asking for it. Nobody's asking for rape. We know that, right? But also, you can't tell a black man, that because he made certain choices or because he's sleeping around or whatever, that he deserves to have a false accusation against him. Nobody deserves that. But at the end of the day, that's happening all the time. And one of the other false narratives that they've been pushing is that only men know how to lie, that only men are capable of telling a lie. Somehow women's brains are just incapable of allowing them to ever be scandalous. Women's brains make them just so feeble and incapable of ever wanting revenge on somebody. Women's brains must be, and this is the feminists saying this, right? The ones who scream equality and all that, they believe women somehow just don't have the ability to construct a lie in their minds. Well, I think that's stupid. That's ridiculous. Everybody can lie. We know this. We know that people can be scandalous and vengeful and everything. And so I would just say that when you talk about Becky-itis, it's very, very dangerous. I don't encourage it. I'm not going to make fun of you because you're dating somebody who's not Black. I'm just going to say that, number one, I do think you're insulting Black women if you're consistently chasing after Becky. But then two, you're putting yourself at risk. And when the stuff hits the fan, when something goes wrong, when you end up looking like O.J. Simpson or like this poor guy at University of Wisconsin, people aren't going to really feel that sorry for you. They're going to kind of say, yeah, well, that's, it's kind of what happens. You're playing with fire. You're going to get burnt. Let me remind you guys real quick, tonight, if you're watching this on Tuesday, the 9th, I'm doing a seminar on how to invest in the stock market. So if you don't know how to invest in the stock market, I'm actually going to show you how to use $5 a day to invest on my $5 a day investment plan and show you how that can actually grow into a massive family fortune within one generation. It's very easy to do, very straightforward, but I'm going to break it down for you tonight in a seminar. So if you're interested in that, you can go to drboyceseminars.com. Somebody write that down. Somebody type it in so others can see it. drboyceseminars.com. So make sure you do that, drboyceseminars.com. Also, this shirt that I'm wearing, Black Enough, this is our social media platform for Black people. So here's how you spell it, BLAGGENUF. So if you are tired of Facebook and you want something different, you want something that's Black, you can go to blagenough.com. That's BLAGGENUF, blagenough.com. Those are my main thoughts for today. What I will also say too is recently the other day, I just saw this movie. This is a little bit slight change in topic, but it's, similar. I saw this movie by Michael Moore this week called Fahrenheit 11/9. I don't know if anybody else saw that movie. Let me know if you saw it, but it's a really good movie. And I think anybody who really wants to understand, what time is it? Rufus is asking what time. It's 8 o'clock tonight, 8 p.m. Eastern. So that's when we're going to do the thing and make it happen. And there'll be a recording in the blackstockmarketprogram.com. So if you are a member or want to join, you can go to the blackstockmarketprogram.com. And you can actually see the recording as well as recordings of every lecture I've done on the stock market. But the movie Fahrenheit 11/9 is really interesting for people that really want to know the truth about politics and how the Democrats and even Obama himself kind of created Donald Trump. It's a great film in terms of really explaining how both of the political parties screw over Black people, how both parties kind of harm you. Like, for example, I remember when Bernie Sanders was doing really well, and I knew a guy who was a rapper who went on to some radio shows. And I remember him telling me, he said that when I go on Black urban radio shows, they tell me that I cannot mention Bernie Sanders, that I should not mention Bernie Sanders' name. And I say, well, why would you not mention Bernie Sanders' name? Like, he's popular. People like him. I think he'd be a good candidate. And basically it was the power of the Democratic Party that kind of owns Black media. They own the elite Negroes. So because they own the elite Negroes, they were basically greasing their pockets and saying, your money will come, but you cannot mention Bernie Sanders to Black people. And so because they didn't mention Bernie Sanders and because they sabotaged his campaign, you had Hillary Clinton running against Donald Trump. Hillary Clinton could not beat Donald Trump because Trump was unscripted. Trump was non-conventional. Trump was, something different for people. And so at the end of the day, what happened was that Trump, instead of going against a man who could have beat him, Bernie Sanders, he ends up going against an establishment politician like Hillary Clinton. And Hillary could not beat Trump because there are lots of people who are disgruntled with the Democratic Party for good reason, because the Democratic Party has ignored Black people. And one of the things that Michael Moore did that I thought was brilliant was he actually showed how Obama, he used the Flint water crisis as an example of how Obama pretty much showed himself to also be a member of the establishment. He came out with this whole, like hope and change, and I'm going to be different and blah, 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 and got people's revolutionary energy kind of fired up when really he was everything but a revolutionary. I mean, this man went to Flint, and all the Black people in Flint are excited, like, oh, Obama's coming to town. He's going to set this governor straight. He's going to make it right. He's the Black Jesus. He's going to save everybody. And Obama got in there, and all he did was basically cape for the governor. He basically backed the governor up. He was like, well, when I was young, I had a little, chip of paint, and I probably got exposed to a little lead. And then they gave him a glass of Flint water, and he made a little joke about how he was thirsty, and they brought out some water, and he was basically drinking the water to show that the water was safe. And they said he barely wet his lips. Even he didn't drink the water. If you look at the video, Obama's like he literally wet his lips with it and put the glass down. He didn't even drink it. And so literally, he basically exposes that whether you're talking about Obama, Clinton, or anybody, all of these people, don't have your best interests at heart. Same thing with Trump. We know Trump doesn't have your best interests at heart. An enemy that you can identify is an easier enemy to fight than an enemy that you actually think is a friend. An enemy that you think is a friend is the most dangerous threat that you have. And so basically, I will just tell you at the end of the day, Black people don't really have any friends. And we're going to have to start, rethinking everything. In fact, when people ask me like, hey, boys, we want you to come out and rock the vote. I'm like, for what? For what? So what? They can keep the Democrats in power? Like, for what? I mean, Black people, we are the fuel that fuels everybody else's wealth. Black people, we are the fuel that fuels everybody else's power. Black people, we are the fuel that fuels everybody else's success. But where are we getting success? When we put a politician in office, where are we benefiting as a community when that politician gets in office? When we are out here, rocking the vote and doing all these other things, where are we benefiting from that? Where are we benefiting when the Arabs or Jews or Asians or whites put corner stores in our neighborhoods and we're buying stuff out of their store? What do we benefit? When Disney made the Black Panther and we gave them $500 million, where do we benefit? And so I'm sitting there simply saying, like, I think that we have to rethink everything. We have to rethink everything. And right now it's important because right now they're trying to do that. They're trying to get you all riled up to vote. All the Black radio stations are going to be doing rock the vote campaigns because all of them are getting paid to do that shit. All of them are getting their pockets greased. The Black elite is getting money to control the Black masses. They literally are trying to manage you the same way a farmer manages cattle, a herder manages sheep, or a man manages a bunch of chickens so he can sell them to KFC and get paid. That's what they do. Their job is, as political bosses, is to deliver the Black vote. What that means is control the minds of Black people to the point where Black people are going to always show up and give us power, even though we're not doing anything for the community. Because I challenge you to point out anything that you have that has happened positive in the community on a mass scale in the last 8 years as a result of Democrats being in power. Show me one thing. Has the education gap shrank? No, it has not. Has the wealth gap shrank? No, it has not. Has the employment gap shrank? It did a little bit under Trump. That's the crazy part. It was under Trump. If you look at the economic numbers, his numbers are actually better than they were under Obama. I'm not trying to say Trump is a great president. I don't think he is. But it was really interesting because in 2016, I think Obama was saying, Trump thinks he can wave a magic wand and make the economy better and it's not going to work. But then the economy got better. And then Obama was saying, well, look, the economy is doing well. He admits that. And he says, but the recovery started under me. Right. So it's like on one hand, you're saying Trump can't improve the economy. Well, on the other hand, when it does improve, you're now taking credit. You're saying, yeah, it did go up. But I did it. I did it. And, I mean, the man been in office 2 years. But like, what if 2 years into Obama's presidency, George Bush was going around saying, well, we 2 years in and the economy's better, but I get credit for that shit because I was in office before him. 2 years, halfway through your presidency, halfway through your term. Like, again, not saying Trump's a good president. I don't think this guy is meant to be president. I don't think Trump is your friend. I don't think he is. I think Trump is an arrogant white guy. I think that Trump has a lot of personality defects. That's what I think about Trump. But what I think that we are missing is we don't understand that the Democratic Party is in many cases just as corrupt, just as backwards, just as racist. And I think that for Black people, we've got to find a plan B. Our plan B, I believe, has to be starting internally, building wealth, focusing on things like the Black Core of Three and the Black Business School, which some of y'all can see the Panther logo behind my head. That's the Black Business School logo. I'll let you guys see it on Facebook here. You can see it. So the Black Business School, one of the things that we talk about is the Black Core of Three. The Black Core of Three is that we believe Black people can educate our own kids. We can create our own jobs. We can support Black businesses. I believe that we can do those three things. I believe that if we focus really focus all our energy on that, like if you vote, that's fine, go vote. But after you vote, just know your vote ain't gonna make a difference, but it's gonna make you feel better. It'll help you with the guilt trips. They love to guilt trip you into voting. Like I heard a commercial the other day that was so cute. It was a commercial where they had some old 90-year-old lady on the radio who's like, voting is the most important thing that we can do as Black people. And I used to remember when it was hard for us to even go to the mall without being told that we can't go shop in the same stores. And now we get to vote. And so you must make sure that on November 4th, you show up and vote, because voting is very important. So, okay, fine. I'm not even going to debate that with you. I'm not even going to have that debate about whether or not your vote matters. What I want to say to you, though, is that that's not really working when it comes to advancing the community. We've been voting for 60 years. Ain't nothing got better. So what I'm saying is, after you vote, after you finish, doing that ritual, I want you to go and focus on something more specific to your family. And that's why I talk about the Black Core of Three. Focus on educating your own kids. Teach them Black history and economics. Those are the two things they're not getting in school. Black history and economics. Those are the main things. And make sure that they can learn reading, writing, and math at school. When they come home, you have to teach them Black history and business. And don't teach them how to go get a job. Teach them how to create jobs. Second piece, we must learn to create our own jobs. We don't benefit when we are asking white people if they will allow us to come work for them. That just doesn't work. Our elite universities, like the HBCU that you went to, where you went $100,000 in debt because you're trying to pay Howard University tuition and room and board, which I think to go to Howard, let me see here, full cost for a year at Howard University. The full cost for a year at Howard, which is a school that has significant problems. Let me see. I think the tuition's about $25,000, and let me see here. Okay, let me see what number I find here. Is that can't be the total. I don't think the total cost is $25,000. I think that the tuition is $25,000, but maybe I'm wrong. Let me see. Here we go. Oh yeah, tuition, room and board, or tuition and fees are $25,997. The total cost of attendance for a year at Howard is $43,500. So 43,000 times 4 is about $172,000. So $172,000. That's enough to buy it, to literally own an entire home, right? Like you can own own the house. So I'm not trying to say you shouldn't go to Howard. I'm not trying to say you shouldn't go to college. What I'm trying to say is that, when you're thinking about what you want to do or what you want your kids to do, you have to kind of figure out what's the best use of my time and my money. What am I trying to accomplish? Where am I trying to get to? And does, going to this school help me to achieve that goal? And if there is a price I have to pay, like a debt I have to incur or fees I got to pay out of my pocket, is that the best use of my money? That's how we teach investing. We talk about what they call marginal returns. Is the extra return on this going right? Is that better than going left? Right? Doesn't mean going left isn't a good idea. It just means that maybe going right is a better idea, right? So ultimately, you think about that. Okay, $172,000 for a 4-year degree at Howard. Unfortunately, I know a lot of students who graduated from Howard, just using that as an example, but it applies to really any school. I know a lot of people who have those 4-year degrees who have about $70,000 in debt, many of whom are not happy about where they are financially. Now, what they say is, I had a great time. It was really fun. It was a great experience. Okay, so again, that begs that question. Would you pay $172,000 for a great experience? If a woman says, I'll give you excellent sex, for 4 years, if you write me a check for $172,000, would you write that check? Or if somebody says, you can watch your favorite TV shows and we're going to have a lot of fun for 4 years, just pay me $172,000. I don't know. I'm not saying it's yes or no, but I'm saying that that's kind of how you want to process all of that. because $172,000 in 4 years of time can be used to do a lot of things. Like, so imagine another alternative. This isn't an alternative I'm going to present to my niece, who was just born a month ago. When she gets 18, I'm going to say, look, let's say that, I don't know, by then it'll cost a ton of money to go to college, but let's say it's $172,000. So I might say to her, look, okay, it's going to cost you $172,000 for you to go with option A. That's what everybody else is doing. That's what they're telling you. But let's look at other options. Okay, so now that you've been trained on how to run a business and you have a little business, she's going to have a business by the time she's about 10. I believe every Black child should have a business and know how to run a business by the age of 12. So I might say, now another option is you could take that $172,000 and put that into your business, and maybe because you've invested that much money into your business and 4 years of hard work, your business might grow to $500,000 a year, right, in revenue, right? Because I've done that. I've invested about $150,000 into things and made $1 million, right? That happens all the time. And so ultimately, she would have options, number one. And then number two, she might conclude that, college is cool, but I think that there are better uses for my money, especially if those options involve no debt. Because the average Black college graduate has defaulted on their student loans. Half of all Black college graduates have bad credit because they can't pay their loans back. Many of them are going to die in debt. And the problem with wealth building is that if you die in debt, then it doesn't matter that you have a college degree, right? If you die in debt, it doesn't matter that you owned a business or that you worked hard and had a great job. Because if you die in debt, what happens is that your future generations, your children and grandchildren, are starting off in a very bad position because of the choices that you made, right? Now, some people think that me bringing up Howard is bashing an HBCU, and I agree. Maybe I shouldn't be talking about an HBCU. Maybe, and I think Howard comes to mind only because I am a little annoyed with Howard in terms of how they run the institution. I mean, to me, if you're paying $43,000, you should be getting quality all the time. I don't understand this idea of all, with all these problems that they're kind of being hit with financially and otherwise. I think a lot of our schools, unfortunately, don't have good leadership, and I don't know what it takes to put in good leadership. In fact, some of them, unfortunately, almost come out like slave schools in the sense that, these are schools created by the federal government to manage lots of Black people and train them to come and work for white people. That's kind of what they were designed for. That's why Howard is not named after a Black person. Howard is named after a white person. It's named after some general with the last name Howard who went and killed a bunch of Native Americans and stuff, right? So I think that sometimes we might even have to ask ourselves a hard question like, do our HBCUs even belong to us? Like, are those really our schools? If white folks stopped funding those schools, would those schools be able to exist? I believe that in the next generation, as we're developing, elementary schools, middle schools, high schools, and colleges for Black people, we should set them up with self-funding mechanisms so that they can have their own endowments that are independent of government support. I believe that we kind of have to have our own government structure in the sense of kind of making sure that our resources are staying in our community. If Black people simply kept, 20% of our money in the Black community, we could probably fund almost anything we want to do. I remember, we funded the Disney movie Black Panther with $500 million, and we raised that money in about a month, right? So we can do pretty much anything that we put our minds to. We just have to put our minds on the right things. All right. So anyway, I'm about to go. You guys have a good day. Don't forget, tonight we're going to do this seminar. You can go to drboyseminars.com if you want to check out the financial seminar that I'm going to do tonight. Also, if you want to check out my stock market class, you can go to theblackstockmarketprogram.com. The first month is free. That's theblackstockmarketprogram.com. And make sure you hit the like button, share button, thumbs up button. And no disrespect to Van Jones if you happen to see this video. But, I think that one day we should probably take a second and do an inventory and count all the Negroes on CNN who have Becky-itis. And I think that there's a correlation there. I think there's a reason why certain people who integrate into that structure in a specific way, they tend to have more opportunities than other people. That's just a fact. All right. So I'm out of here, guys. I'll see you soon, and have a good day.